Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, hello and welcome. We are back. It's Monday night, and if you don't know what this is, if this happens to be your first time watching, this is my weekly Monday night Facebook Live, What Am I Doing hangout. I jump on here just about every Monday night at around 8 p.m. Eastern Time just to catch up, say hello, hang out with you guys for a little bit, give you any updates on projects that I'm working on, and then I also talk about books that I'm reading and movies and TV shows that I'm watching. So just a real fun, casual hangout. This is episode 175. We've been going a long time. It's crazy to think that it's been that long, but here we are. So it's a lot of fun. If you're watching live, please jump into the comments, say hello. If you have a question, please ask it, and we will try to get to it. So hello, Mike. Good to see you, sir. Hello, Susan in the UK. Hello, Lorraine. And yes, happy Valentine's Day. Almost forgot about that. Happy Valentine's Day to all. All right. Hello, Yvonne. I think I got everybody that I saw jump in here and say hello. Apologies if I missed you. My comments don't always come in real time. Sometimes they come in big blocks at a time. Like if Facebook is just holding on to them and it dumps them all on me at one time. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to very quickly pull up my notes from earlier. Hopefully I still have them, and we will get started. So what am I reading? All right. So I mentioned last week that I was reading a book called Devil House by John Darnielle. By the way, his last name is Darnielle. That's the only way I know how to pronounce it. Darnielle. Every single time that I type that last name on my phone, on my iPad, on my laptop, anything that's Apple related that I type that last name in, I did it several times this morning on the newsletter that I sent out to my Patreon members. It always wants to correct it as Danielle. I mean, I get it. I understand why. So if you ever see me type it as Danielle and not Darnielle, it's not me. It's the computers. They're taking over. But this is a book of his. It's the third book of his that I've read. The previous two were Wolf and White Van and Universal Harvester. The guy is very strange. He has a very unique storytelling technique. His prose is not easy to read. I mentioned again in my newsletter this morning, they're not fast reads. They're not easy reads. I can definitely see where they would be off-putting for some people. But if you really slow down and you digest the pages, the guy is super talented and he writes some fantastic stories. I don't always understand everything that's going on from time to time. Wolf and White Van particularly was a little odd. But this one is really interesting, and he has done some things that are just all over the map in this one book alone. There's been kind of like a book within the book, which I'm not always a fan of, but it worked here. There's been some chapters that have been written in completely different perspectives and voices than the rest of the book. It's really odd. The guy is just really, really interesting in how he tells a story. And the most interesting thing of all about this book so far is that the premise on the surface, it's about the main protagonist is a true crime writer who moves into a home that used to be a pornography store in the 80s, and there was a killing, a multi-person homicide that took place there, kind of like a murder-suicide kind of thing, or at least that's the way that the police and the media have portrayed it, as some sort of cult killing. And there's apparently more to the story, and the guy moves into the house to, kind of unravel what happened. Kind of like Sinister, which is like one of the greatest horror movies ever made. But this is not like scary in that regard, but a similar setup. The interesting thing is that's the premise that we're given. But the protagonist in this story repeatedly states that he does not want to tell us the story of what happened, and he is not going to tell us the story that happened, but he's also telling us the story. So it's interesting. I'm not really sure where this book is going to end up. I've only just crossed the 50% mark. I have not been reading it a lot because the chapters are kind of dense. I've been reading it before I go to bed, but I am enjoying it. It's definitely just kept me interested. I'm very curious as to where this is all going to end up. And maybe I'll have it finished by next week. I'll let you guys know my final thoughts. But if you are interested in somebody that definitely tells a story a little differently, check out John Darnielle. Universal Harvester, I think, I know was my favorite out of the first two books that he had written. Wolf and White Van was definitely kind of a little tougher pill to swallow. But I thought that was pretty good. And if you like that, I think you'll probably like Devil House. I say that again, only having read the first half of it, but just know that he's different. He's not a casual fly through weekend read. He's one you got to kind of commit to really get the full effect. But anyway, that's what I'm reading. Still working my way through that. And I think I mentioned this last week. Somebody on the Facebook group, my Beyond the Pages group, had also mentioned that they were reading Devil House, but they were not enjoying it. And I get it. Like I said, this guy is, I guess, one of those authors that you would call an acquired taste. You either, like him or you don't. I get it. I truly do. But that is it for what I am reading. Let's jump into what I'm watching. So, did finally finish season 2 of Yellowstone. It's fun. I mean, there's no other way to describe Yellowstone. It is over the top dramatic. I say that every time, but it's just true. The show is ridiculously dramatic, but it's also really interesting. The pacing is top notch. I think Beth Dutton is one of the best written female badass characters in television history. She is just beyond ruthless and brave and just flawed. I love every scene that she's in. And it's interesting. I almost felt like, I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen any of Yellowstone. I guess season 4 just wrapped up, or maybe it's still airing, but I know they're in season 4. The end of season 2 almost felt to me like they were building toward a potential, hey, this might be the end. We don't know if we're going to get renewed or not. I have no evidence or fact to back that up. It was just the feeling with the way that season was winding down, and the last episode particularly, the way some of the pieces were getting set up. I thought maybe they thought this was going to be the end. But then, of course, there's 2 more seasons, and I think that I saw they got renewed for a 5th. But anyway, it's good. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. I'm glad that they're all out and we can just kind of, go through it at our leisure. But yeah, Yellowstone, definitely one that I am, it took me too long to get to. People that I know have been talking about it for a while, and I never bit the bullet and started watching it, but, it's good. Other than that, still watching Somebody Somewhere on HBO. That is, still one of my favorite new shows on TV right now. I mentioned previously how I think Bridget Everett is really carrying that show. She basically steals every scene she's in. It's an odd show. Again, kind of like John Darnielle's work. I don't think this is a show that's going to be for everybody, but I am just really entranced with it for some reason. But yeah, I think they just had episode 5 that aired last night, so I need to catch up on that. I didn't get to see it last night because it comes on really late. But yeah, and then my wife and I also watched The Lost Daughter, which is a film on Netflix. Oh, by the way, yeah, I finally watched a movie for the first time in like a month. I've been watching so much television because there's been so many good new seasons or series that have been releasing. Haven't watched any movies, so we watched The Lost Daughter on Netflix. It's Oscar season. They announced the Oscar nominees, I think, last week. And this was Olivia Colman stars in it, and she got nominated for Best Actress. I forget the lady's name that got nominated for Supporting Actress, and has also got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for Maggie Gyllenhaal. This was one of those movies. I'm not going to slot it. It's not as striking as Power of the Dog, in terms of it just felt like I missed something, or there was just an emptiness to it. That's not the case, but I will say that in terms of having a satisfactory, complete story when you finish the film, this one also fell kind of short to me. I think the performances were fantastic. I think that the art direction and the cinematography and the direction in general were really spot on. It's definitely an engrossing film, But at the end of it, you just kind of sit back and you go, wait a minute, what exactly was the point of all this, other than some sort of deep personal, like, introspective, like, reflection from the main character, which, by the way, I think one of the more interesting opinions that I have about this film is that it's basically split between present day and Olivia Colman flashing back to her past when and some of the issues that she had when she was a younger woman in her marriage and with her children. I found that those flashback scenes were much more interesting and engaging than the present. I don't know that one had more screen time than the other, but I definitely felt like that was the more interesting part of the film. Maybe that was by design. I hope so, because for me it was. But yeah, it was just one of those movies that you felt you watched it, but you weren't really sure what the point of it all was, or if there was supposed to be some deeper meaning that you might have missed. I don't know. I'm glad that I watched it, but it's definitely not one that I would watch again. So I don't know. It's kind of some of the Oscar nominated films this year have kind of just struck me as very odd, and it's almost like the Academy puts too much emphasis on being so art style, art house film, like almost like the literary equivalent in the book world versus like genre fiction. I don't know. We'll see how everything shakes down, but anyway, that's just my opinion. The Lost Daughter. Other than that, I did catch up with Ghosts. I don't know if it was if it was an episode that aired last week or the week before, but there was an episode of Ghost on CBS that we did watch. And that, of course, is still really funny. That's kind of like a guilty pleasure show where you just kind of mindlessly watch it. I think it's pretty fun, pretty clever. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that we watched. I still haven't watched the new Ghostbusters film. I said I was going to do that last week, but sadly I did not get to. Anyway, and I did watch the Super Bowl last night. It was the only football game that I've watched the entire year, college or professional, but I figured if there was going to be one game to watch, why not make it Super Bowl? So that's what I did. Anyway, that's it for what I'm watching. Moving into what I'm working on, you guys can very easily guess this one. I'm still working on my latest book, which is Pray No More, the second book in the Shiffy PI series. I'm getting very close to finishing. I don't have any doubt that I will have the book completed by the end of the month. So that is exciting, and hopefully I can get it to you guys as quickly as possible after that. So like I said, the pre-order date on Amazon is just a placeholder. I know it says, I think, August 31st of 2022. It's just a placeholder date that's up there until we can really firm up the official release date, but it'll definitely be this spring for sure. Unless the world ends and something happens to me between that time and now, it'll be the spring. So looking forward to getting that finished and out to you guys, and then on to the next thing. So that, I believe, is everything. I don't think I have anything else to say. I might have forgot a few things. I actually couldn't find my notes, so I just kind of winged it. So if you're on my Patreon page and you got the newsletter, you got the full scope of everything. And by the way, see, today's Monday. Tomorrow is the last day to sign up for Patreon and get the free Lance Brody sticker. Thank you to all the new members who have signed up recently. Your support is very much appreciated. And once that promotion is over and I get a final tally, I'll be letting you guys know when those stickers will be going out to you guys. So that is, I think, it. And again, as always, links to everything, my books, my newsletter, Patreon, website, everything is in the link in this video description. You can find it all in one nice, neat menu. So I think that's everything. I don't think I have anything else to share. I've just been writing my butt off. Last week, I think I wrote more consistently, like every day of the week, just morning and afternoon. I wrote more words than I have in a while. So that felt good to kind of just really get through the rest of this story as it's kind of coming more clear into my head as to how things are going to play out. So that's always a fun point to reach in the book when you can just kind of see the map and follow it. But Anyway, that's all, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. As always, thanks for all your support. And I'll end this the same way that I always do. If you have read any of my books and you enjoyed them and you want to do me a huge favor, if you get a few free moments this week, jump over to Amazon and leave a review saying you like the book. I would greatly appreciate it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a few words. Throw us, hopefully a 5-star rating on the book. Don't just do it for me. Do it for anybody that you read. I promise you, authors do appreciate that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and your evening, and I will probably see you next Monday. Bye.